Hi, I'm Catherine DiOrio, and this week on Check Please, communications consultant Kristen Niels tells us why her pick is definitely the talk of the town. She says for fantastic food in a communal atmosphere, you've got to try her recommendation. But University Dean Don Hyder says his spot schools all the others when it comes to creative cuisine. He says for a modern take on traditional Mexican dishes, join him at his selection. Up first, although accountant manager Chinwe Okorafor really misses the smells and tastes of her home country, she found a place that more than makes up for it. She says for a terrific taste of Nigeria on the north side, follow her to Western Avenue and stop in at Simi's.
We love food. I have a great passion for food. We love going out to eat. And we noticed something was missing in the Nigerian community, in the African restaurant community. And that was what really motivated us to open a restaurant. We pride ourselves in the authenticity of our food. So that's one thing I will tell you. When our customers come here, we take them on a memory lane back to Nigeria. We actually have some food items that traditionally you actually eat with your hands. Sometimes people want to use their fork to eat that, and it's totally fine. But for us, usually for someone who is coming here for the first time, we like to explain that process to them and have them try it out at least, because that's part of the experience. And then also we want them to be able to tell, whoever they're telling, like, you know what, you can go to Simi's and dine in, sit down. It's a very good atmosphere. It's a very relaxing atmosphere. And, the people that are working here are great,
So Chinwe, you say that Simi's is hands down the best Nigerian food in town. Why'd you choose it?
It is the best in Chicago for sure because of many things: the ambience, the service, the delicious flavors that you get to enjoy. It feels like family because you get to see that, in the family and the owner and the children that are there, the families that are there. Well, I usually come with my friends. Most of them are new to the Nigerian culture. I always tell them, this is just your way of knowing more about me. So I think you get a well-rounded scoop on my culture.
Yeah, it was one of those experiences where I definitely consider myself an adventurous eater, but there was still tons of stuff on the menu that I was like, I don't know how to pronounce that, and I don't know what I'm getting myself into. So it was awesome to try some new things. We started with the plantains and gizzards, which gizzards, I wasn't sure.
I like that, you're adventurous.
Well, I try, when in Rome, or in Nigeria in this case.
Yes.
And it was really, really good. The spices in there were fantastic. I mean, the flavor was phenomenal, and that being kind of the first introduction was awesome.
Great choice.
Really loved it.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. It's a part of Rogers Park. Rogers Park has so many great restaurants and so many good ethnic restaurants.
And it's such an ethnically diverse neighborhood.
This is a great find to find something, just a couple blocks off sort of the main drag, but with some very unique food. So my wife and I went there with some friends and their teenage kids, and we really had a great experience.
Even the teenagers.
They did, and actually their son, who's 18, was probably the most adventurous of all of us, right? So, that impressed me because my kids, not so much, right? It was kind of quiet when we went in, but incredibly welcoming.
Absolutely.
The waiter was very helpful in terms of explaining what the dishes were.
Agreed. Although he did look at us when we first walked in, and he goes, this is Nigerian food, right? I was like, yeah, I know. That's
And you know what? That's something that walking into Simi is definitely, they expect that's one of their missions, to bring the culture to the community. So they're walking in, and they do that very well, educating people that are not familiar with the culture and food, what you're eating, what's in it, maybe how you eat it, if necessary.
Even like bringing the basin of water beforehand, because you eat with your hands, right?
Yes.
And explaining this is to wash your hands.
Exactly.
If you're comfortable with it, you'll eat with your hands. And yeah, they were very welcoming. I totally agree with that.
My favorite dish is jollof rice, absolutely classic. There's always this funny debate on who makes the best jollof rice in like Africa, Ghanaian jollof rice or Nigerian. Nigerian always wins, but I'm biased a little bit.
I wonder if you're a little biased there.
Jollof rice is an absolute must. I mean, you can always pick different kinds of meat. Goat meat is my favorite because it's like the most popular meat in the world, but it's our staple meat. And then we also have the stews. Because of its great price point, you really can...
It was such a great price point.
I know.
I was so full. We took so many leftovers home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a family style. You saw that you could pick different pounded yam or amala. Those two items, it's...
And how do you say the pounded yam? Ian?
Ian, yes.
That's
yeah.
right? Okay.
But usually I would say pounded yam.
You just said pounded. Oh, good. That makes it easy.
And it's a different way of eating food.
Yeah.
Because think of it as using the food as a utensil. Because you just scoop it up and swallow. No chewing necessary. Using your hands, you know, getting dirty. I told my friend, just get dirty, it's fine. Lick your fingers. That's just the cuisine and how you're supposed to eat it.
Either I was dozing off during the instructions or the waiter never told us, because we didn't know we were supposed to use our hands. So we sort of skipped that step.
Okay.
So we did, yeah, we used the traditional American utensils. I had one of the stews, the one with the melon seed and the spinach.
The ifu-agusi.
Yes, exactly.
I
Yeah.
loved that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
could eat that every day. It was so good.
And you know, you can actually eat it on its own or eat it with
Oh,
the amala, the pounded yam.
Yeah. The thing I especially liked about my dish was it had a little bit of heat. It had a little bit of zip. I like hot food, so that was a pleasant surprise as well.
One of the things that I think is interesting about them is that they're doing approachable Nigerian, because Nigeria is one of the most ethnically diverse countries in the world. So even within Nigeria, what you use as your utensil varies and the spices vary. It's kind of a greatest hit, so to speak, of Nigeria. Chinwe, you chose Simi. Sum it up for us.
Simi's consistently delivers flavorful, authentic Nigerian food. They also provide a memorable dining experience, great customer service at an affordable price.
Kristen?
Fantastic place to visit, to really try something new and be adventurous.
And Don?
Exciting flavors and something new to try. I would definitely go back and recommend it as well.
You can try the ifu-agusi and more at Simi's, 6310 Northwestern Avenue, 773-856-0407. Open for dinner Tuesday through Sunday and lunch on the weekends. Reservations are accepted, alcohol is BYOB, and the average tab per person is $25. Kristen Niels knows that Chicago has all kinds of wonderful places to dine, but she says her pick tops them all. For honest-to-goodness greatness, make diversity your destination and join her at Cellar Door Provisions.
When someone comes here, I would say that they should expect just sort of a friendly, unpretentious atmosphere where you could potentially like meet folks. You know, a lot of people have made good friends here, and so especially at dinner service, there's like a really nice kind of like communal party vibe going on. It's really nice to separate ourselves, I think, by creating this like lighter fare that you can leave and be like, wow, I feel wonderful after eating this. It's a lot of like French-inspired foods, but we cull from all different kinds of cuisines. So there's like Southeast Asian influences, and there's Japanese. There is a lot of like South American and Central American influence. And it really depends on our whim and what we feel is best for that particular dish. I want them to say that they had like a really wonderful and maybe a little unusual experience eating at this little nice little restaurant in Logan Square.
Kristen, you love the soul of Cellar Door Provisions, so why'd you choose it?
You know, Cellar Door Provisions is really like a microcosm of the community that it's within. It believes in sourcing local foods that are seasonally available, which means you're going to get fantastic flavors on top of an experience that has waiters who are casual and friendly, and it feels like home. I have the best meals I've ever had at Cellar Door in a place.
Big statement.
I'm saying. I mean, and the thing about it is you don't get the same thing every time you go there. I've never had the same meal. So my partner and I are both meat eaters, but a lot of the menu items are often vegetarian based. And that's because they're really looking to source with local farmers and get food that, is locally sourced. So they are fantastic with pickling, fermenting. You can always find something that's a little unique and different, just in terms of how it's prepared. It's not just going to be grilled or baked. It's going to be with a little bit of flair.
So I really wanted to like Cellar Door.
Okay.
I love the idea
Give it to us.
trying to let you down easy. So the night we went, I'd say there were 4 of us there.
You went for dinner, correct?
We did. We went for dinner, and the food was good but not great.
Okay.
And the service was very good. The waiter was excellent. He did a good job of explaining it. It's a fixed price menu, and so you're basically getting whatever they've selected based on fresh ingredients. But unfortunately, the night we went, either it just didn't fit our tastes, or maybe it was an off night. I don't know.
Was there something specific that you didn't like, or was it just kind of overall, you're like, no, this isn't my thing, you know, not my flavor profile?
I'd say both.
Okay. Okay.
So we started that night with a chilled strawberry soup, but it was kind of bitter. And they'd put a little dollop of creme fraiche in there to try to, I think, change the flavor profile a little bit. But because it's a cold soup, it doesn't really dissolve.
Okay.
Even taking a bit of that with the chilled soup, it was still, you know, one person in our group said sour. It's very sour.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it was, I tried that, and
Yeah.
it was sour, and I loved it. I totally get it. It's a different flavor profile.
And it's interesting. I said the same thing about some of the dishes. I didn't go for dinner. We went for early kind of breakfast, brunch. The stars of what I ate that day were absolutely the pastries. Died. I mean,
Which is what they're known for.
Oh, yeah.
amazing. And the croissants were just nice and big, looked different from what you've normally seen in other places. We had all the breakfast items, the quiche, the rice spetzel, am I saying that properly?
Spetzel.
Kimchi stew. And I think that I wanted to love all the items. The quiche, of course, was just custard-like, like
They do
in
the
a
best.
cloud. It was just perfect. The rice spetzel, however, my brother and sister devoured it. They loved it, and I tried. I mean, I tried 2 spoonfuls. I just couldn't do it.
I think it'd be great if they could take some of the success they have at breakfast and lunch and brunch and bring it to the dinner service, and perhaps have a few more options as well. Then I think they might be on the road to success.
So would you go back and try it?
No.
Fair enough.
I was really hoping for more contrast, you know.
Sure.
For instance, the night we went, the second course was English peas, and the peas were excellent, but it was served with a pea puree. So instead of something to sort of elevate the peas or contrast in some way, it was peas with pureed peas.
Right.
And so it was just more of the same.
It's a very simplistically described menu, and then you don't really know what you're going to get, which I like. But it definitely has new flavors. Even if you're an adventurous eater, I would say it can be out of your comfort zone for sure. And that can be hit or miss, but usually for me, it's a major hit.
The ingredients are so fresh. I mean, you can feel the love and the knowledge from the service.
Not
and
to mention see them making it right
Exactly.
there,
The
which
open
I
kitchen
like.
is just brilliant, and it is inviting and warm, and it just feels like you said, home.
Yeah, I like to coop up there with my laptop and
Okay.
a little coffee for brunch, but then also it's become kind of our new date night spot, you know?
So let's talk about that. So you said it's now a date night spot for you. And it's interesting, though, because it's communal seating.
Yeah.
So sometimes your date might expand to more people. If it's
Sure.
Yes.
And people you may not want to sit with, right?
That was probably one thing that I felt a little bit uncomfortable about.
I mean, it's a great point. But you know, for me, it's such a refreshing, you know, spend all our day behind screens and not, you know, we avert eyes on the CTA.
I can see that. I can see what you mean.
Yeah, they're really going for the community vibe.
All right, well, Kristen, you chose Cellar Door Provisions. Sum it up for us.
Really good, different food from people who really care about the community that they come from.
Great. Chinwe?
Go there for the lovely ambiance and the legendary pastries.
Great. And Don?
I'd say farm to table that could be elevated and a bit more interesting.
You can try the pastries and more at Cellar Door Provisions, 3025 West Diversey Avenue, 773-697-8337. Open for breakfast and lunch Wednesday through Sunday and dinner Friday and Saturday. Reservations are accepted for dinner, alcohol is BYOB, and the average tab per person is $15 for lunch and $45 for dinner. Don Hyder has been in the world of education for years, but when it comes to advanced degrees in the kitchen, he knows just where to go. He heads to Westtown and samples Chef Carlos Gaitan's creations at Mexique.
I grew up in a little town in Mexico, very small. I came to Chicago in 1991. I came and started working as a dishwasher. I didn't speak English, still not. I do Spanglish. Mexique is a modern Mexican with French influence. I was the chef at a French restaurant for 3 years, and I really learned so much of the passion for ingredients and how to treat the ingredients, let's say, the right way, and then why not implement it to the Mexican cuisine. Well, you know, I want to create something really fun, but very serious when it comes, you know, the flavors of the dishes. I'm cooking something like nobody else is doing here in Chicago, and matter of fact, anywhere, you know, on the planet. So I'm cooking something from my heart, something really new, and something really amazing. That's what we try to do.
So Don, you love Chef Gaitan's technique at Mexique, so why'd you choose it?
I'm a big Mexican food fan, period. I grew up in Colorado. I lived in Texas for 10 years. So I think I know a little bit about Mexican food. And what he does differently is he brings sort of that French influence into Mexican flavors and dishes. So for instance, mussels. I love mussels. I get the mussels almost every time I go there for dinner because it's not just mussels, it's not just a wine sauce. He also puts jalapeno in there and some dried chorizo. And so it's a whole different dish, right? It's a new experience. I'd say the same. Another one of my favorite dishes is the lamb. And to have sort of the Mexican influence on the lamb with the spices on it sort of challenges your imagination and your palate, I think.
So what'd you think, Kristen?
So I walked into Mexique and it was a little uninspiring, just in that it kind of looked like a place that was maybe cool like 10 years ago. That's not always what you want, is the coolest place. And when we actually ate, I would say the standout for Mexique for me was the sauces. We tried the ceviche, which had this like spicy kind of chili mayo. Amazing.
Love the ceviche
Stole
as
the
well.
show with the ceviche. I had the mar y tierra, I think, like the land and sea. It was octopus and meat with pork with a mole sauce. And again, the mole sauce stole the show. So overall, I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed my meal. I had a good time. The vibe was a little less than exciting, but the food was good and solid.
The standout for me was the steak tartare, the truffle oil, the guacamole. Like, it was. And the presentation was beautiful. My friends even thought that the plates were pretty unique as well. And the Mari Tira was also the pork belly, I believe, and the sweet potato puree.
Oh, that was awesome.
Licking it off the plate.
That was really good. I
Loved
agree.
it. We also had the cochinita rillettes. I think I mispronounced it. I thought it was more Mexican, but it was more French. The rillettes. That was just eating that with the crostini. It was amazing, flavorful. The flavors were there for me.
One of the things I like about it is that the food is excellent, but it doesn't feel pretentious. It's still fairly relaxed. You know, I feel like I could take my kids there. I have taken my kids there. We just went there for brunch. They have some very interesting dishes, like he has a dish called duck and waffle. It's sort of a play on chicken and waffles. You know, yeah. But it was excellent. I had the what's the name of the dish with tortillas, fried tortillas, and then eggs on it? Chilaquiles. It was outstanding. Oh my gosh! And this was one of the best I've ever had. It was excellent. And we also tried I had never had his pozole before, and it was fantastic, off the charts good.
Chef Carlos comes from humble beginnings, and he comes from the Mexican state of Guerrero, and he came here and then started as a dishwasher, kind of worked his way up from that. And so he has this French classical training, but obviously he wants to bring the flavors of his homeland with that, and then kind of throws in a few of the French ingredients as you see throughout the menu, and finds this way to meld them in a style that is uniquely his.
The best example that I saw of the fusion of the two was we had the chili relleno, and the sauce was a huitlacoche fondue, which is mushroom kind of cheese. Again, the sauces, it was so good. And then the chili relleno, which is a lot more typical Mexican. So I think that in terms of like accomplishing that fusion, awesome, off the charts.
I think one of the comments from one of my friends were that they expected more Mexican. I think you come in there thinking, I'm going to a Mexican restaurant. No, you have to get out of that mindset.
Yeah, I think, Kristen, that was even one of the things you said. You're like, hey, I can't even get a margarita at this place.
You know, well, I'm a drinker, so the first thing I looked at was the drink menu, and its sangria that I got was way too sweet. I love sangria, but it was a bit much.
Did you try the mezcal? I had the Mississippi mezcal, smoky. I love mezcal. It was just perfect.
I didn't even see that.
Smooth as well. I think also another part that I really enjoyed was Chef Carlos coming out. You can see him in the kitchen. He comes out. He speaks, hugs people sometimes, shakes their hand. Of course, I was starry-eyed. I was like, but he was just gracious. You can tell that he really enjoys what he does, and he really cares about his clients and customers. Did anyone have the desserts?
Yes.
We weren't going to, and then I'm a beekeeper, and we saw a dessert that had honey. It was like an ice cream with pear and honey, and that was probably the standout of our meal.
Don, you chose Mexique. Sum it up for us.
Elevated Mexican and French food with a variety of excellent dishes.
Kristen?
Disappointing ambiance with good but not great food, where the attention to detail is really where they excel.
Okay. And Chinwe?
It's very unique. With the great fusion of two styles, beautifully done and creative dishes.
You can judge for yourself at Mexique, 1529 West Chicago Avenue, 312-850-0288. Open for lunch and dinner, Tuesday through Sunday, and brunch on the weekends. Reservations are accepted, and the average price per person without drinks is $45. So on this week's show, we featured Simi's in West Rogers Park, Cellar Door Provisions in Logan Square, and Mexique in Westtown. Let's recap what our guests had to say. First, we went up Western Avenue and stopped by Simi's. Chinwe recommends it and says it's the best Nigerian cuisine in Chicago. Kristen said it was great for friends with its phenomenal flavors and adventurous foods. Don loved the new flavors and would return. Next, we drove down Diversey and visited Cellar Door Provision. Kristen recommends it for the locally sourced ingredients, show-stopping baked goods, and communal vibe. Dawn thought it was good, but not great food. But the service was helpful. Chinwe said the breakfast pastries were to die for, and she would try it out for dinner. Lastly, we sent you down Chicago Avenue and dined at Mexique. Don recommends it and says the Mexican-French fusion cuisine is inventive but approachable. Kristen was not a fan of the atmosphere, but thought the sauces were divine. Chinwe thought it was rich in flavor and enjoyed the beautiful presentation. We've had a wonderful time this week. I want to thank my guests, Don Hyder, Chinwe Okorafor, and Kristen Niels. Join us next week for 3 new guests recommending 3 of their favorite restaurants right here on Check Please. I'm Catherine Diorio, and I'll see you then.
For more information about the restaurants featured on Check Please, go to WTTW.com/checkplease.